What's up YouTube, this is Tien, bringing you a new Atlas strategy video for 3.14 Ultimatum League. Lots of content to cover in this one. We're going to go into our Atlas strategy for making currency in the next league. Just as a disclaimer, this is from the perspective of a softcore trade league player, and this kind of assumes that you know what you're doing in terms of getting your watchstones. If you are interested in the leapfrog strategy, my previous video in 3.13 goes into how I progress my Atlas each league. But we're going to start with the base that you have all 32 watchstones, you've already gotten all of your Atlas completion bonus in the center, and now you've kind of settled in and you want to farm your Atlas in the upcoming league for currency. So let's get into the strategy. Basically what I want to do is remove 2 watchstones from the areas that I'm not interested in. And you actually need to remove 2 watchstones from the corner region, so tier 14s and above only drop in the regions that you're interested in. And so tier 14s are basically only in these 4 regions. And let's go into why we want to farm these 4 regions. Haywork Hamlet. This might surprise you guys, I'm actually not picking Harvest this time. It's not because I think Harvest is bad, I just think there's another region that's good for it. I'll start by taking the Essence nodes here. These Essence nodes are going to be powerful, and Essence itself has been buffed this league, on top of it being indirectly buffed by Harvest being nerfed. I think Essences will be kind of one of the premier ways to craft items. Maybe you want to fracture on a temple mod and then, Essence spam, high flat fizz or something onto a weapon. Don't want to spend too much time on essences. They're kind of self-explanatory. If you're softcore trade, try and sell them in bulk if you plan on selling them, or use them yourself to craft powerful items. Would not fault you for trying to experiment with the ritual nodes, or even using the harvest nodes here. The watchstones that we're going to pick will also be essence related. Those are going to be the monsters have an 11 to 15% chance to have an additional essence. That paired with the map device, paired with remnants of corruption, can get you some really high tier essences. And for only 2C, I think it's really a bargain. The other nodes might surprise you here. I used intelligence gathering last league when we were lighting maps on fire for harvest, but it's basically a way for you to get syndicate intelligence without ever actually running June missions. You can get syndicate intelligence and basically accelerate the rate at which you get Katarina by using intelligence gathering. So just a really powerful node here. One of the only ones that kind of progresses your master mission without actually interacting with the master. So just a really good node. And then one that I think people are sleeping on a little bit is bribery. So, bribery is not popular because it's kind of counterproductive. You want to execute the syndicate members in order to get them to be rank 3, but if you've already done that, maybe you've set up your board and Valdo's Rest and they're rank 3, you can use bribery, and with bargaining with them gets you additional items from them. So this can include scarabs, which I think will be more scarce. It can include maps, and it will also just include veiled items, which will be better next league. They've been buffed to have a higher tier of mod than the other mods. Basically the craftable mod on there. So that's what I plan on doing in Haywork. Like I mentioned, the watchstones will be essence related. If it turns out essence is not that good, I might try the ritual nodes or spec back into harvest. I am triple favoriting Atoll in this region, and we are going to run these maps Chiseled, Alked, Vald, and Sextant. That's across the board. Map sustains might be a little bit harder this league with all the mechanics being going from 10% to 8%, a little less juicy than what we're used to. In thi3n's End, we are going to rush Lightless Legion. This particular node is how you get item level 86 Stygian Vises. It's just the best crafting base for a lot of players. It's the best belt in the game for a lot of players if you're using a non-unique belt. While we're down there, we might as well get Buried Riches as well, some additional currency. And then I'm going to try out Exotic Goods, and I'm actually going to go even harder on this and combo it with the Watchstone that gives you an increased chance for an incursion boss to appear. I think it's 20 to 25%, so with 4 watchstones, you get 2 invasion bosses on your map that will all have exotic goods. Once I've gotten my fill of the abyssal nodes, I will go ahead and spec into the delirium nodes for just extra value in this zone. I wouldn't fault you for taking the Einhar nodes, but I think there's a better region for Einhar, which we will cover later. Already mentioned the watchstones that I want to use here, the Legion specific ones, but if you didn't want to use those, I think currency chromiums are good as well. The map I'm going to favorite here is actually Mesa map, and you want to triple favorite Mesa for a couple reasons. One, you could just always bulk sell these to people. Mesa is kind of a special map because it's a fixed layout. If people are farming Cyrus, Mesa is actually really great because you can just rush the boss over and over, and you can kind of spawn the Conqueror influence very quickly that way. It's also, you know, maybe you want to just generate master missions, or maybe you just want to do as much Ultimatum as possible. These smaller maps are sometimes very in meta, and you can always sell them to other players if you don't want to run them yourself. Okay, on to Lex Proxima. This is where we're going to be running Harvest, mainly for bumper crop. They removed it to where when you encounter Oshabi, it doesn't erase all of your harvests in there, so you'll have at least, you know, 2 to 4 plots that you can mess with, and then this will improve that to 3 to 5. Combo that with Heart of the Grove, where you're getting additional Oshabi fragments, and Bountiful Harvest is just extra value there as well. Harvest is present on the map device, so I think maybe that's GGG's answer to discourage people from Discord trading. Spoilers, people are still going to Discord trade, but, you know, instead of buying reroll keeping prefixes for 20C or whatever, maybe you'll, you know, just spend 12C and see if you can get it from a map in Lex Proxima. They did nerf Seance in the patch. I don't know why they did that, but I'm gonna pick Within Their Grasp anyways. I don't know what the supply and demand is for the Breach Stones in the upcoming patch. Everyone's gonna want to do at least 4 Breach Lords for their Uncharted Realms passive, but maybe you know, with kind of fractured maps being taken out of the meta, where people were fracturing these delirious maps with tons of breach stones, the demand for this might be higher. They also changed breach stones to where you can use the blessings to make them upgraded from regular to charged to enriched to pure. So I don't know if that's going to be the case. You know, how valuable this will be. Maybe I'll pick something else. Notice that I'm not choosing to do Delve in this region anymore. As far as the Watchstones go, we are going to pick the Overripe and the Bountiful Watchstones just to interact with Harvest even more. And then the favorited map we're going to choose is Park Map. It's just the most popular map in this region for good reason. It has just a great layout and it's easy to find Harvest. Last but not least is Glennock Cairns. This particular region is my favorite region. And not because of the nodes that I'm highlighting right now, but this is the order in which I'm going to take them. I start the league by doing the strong boxes. They changed it last league to where high tier maps can actually have cartographer strong boxes, so a good source of map sustain. Obviously, there's diviner strong boxes for div cards, and, you know, corrupted rare strong boxes have a chance to drop 6 links, a higher chance to drop 6 links. So just really good value early league, but I'll actually probably be speccing out of it pretty quickly because I really love Alva. It's no secret. Incursion's probably my favorite league of all time, and resource reallocation and contested development are great in building up these temples. They've changed the temple to where you can actually trade them to other players. They've buffed the Omnitect. They've buffed the density and monsters within the temple. It's going to be a great league for me. I'm going to be running a ton of Incursion. Obviously, I'm going to spend my Legion Splinters here. They actually moved high-value targets into the protracted battle slot, so this Legion, or this region, is definitely really good for Legion. Yeah, obviously going to use my Alva missions here. At some point, when I've gotten tired of Legion, I might spec into Torn Veil and just to really juice up my incursions here. As far as Watchstones go, you can use the currency chromiums. Again, those are pretty good value. Or you can do, maybe if you want to get cute with it, I think there's an incursion related one where architects have a chance to drop a temple modded item. So that's, you know, your damage against shield enemy gloves, your Takati weapons or whatever. These are some of the best bases for crafting because the harvest crafts can only be applied to rare, non-influenced, non-synthesized items. So, you know, in combination with maybe fracturing some of those mods, or in combination with essence crafting, you can get some really good incursion-based items. It will be one of the more popular ways, I think, to craft things. So that's one of the Watchstones you can pick. You can also pick, since we're doing Legion here, you can also pick the ones that prefer a specific type of general. Like Mariketh is typically the more rare one, but we saw some weirdness in the last league where actually Templar Splinters ended up being worth more than Mariketh. I think Emblematic down here in New Vestir kind of messed with the farming a little bit, so who knows what the economy will look like in the next league. Kind of excited to see where it ends up. As far as the favorited map we're going to choose, I'm going to choose Iceberg. I think it's a really dense, really great map. In Glen, I would not fault you for taking Graveyard though, not just because it's a good map itself with good div cards, but because the other tier 15s in here are just trash. Museum and Scriptorium are some of the worst layouts in the game, and I just would not want to run that. As far as the Uncharted realms, you start by taking Adept Tracker. So in the beginning, when you're progressing your atlas, it's just three maps to spawn the Conqueror. But then once you start doing the outside corner regions, it can take anywhere from like 5 to 8 maps to spawn the Conqueror, and Adept Tracker really speeds that up. And it's also just a prerequisite for taking Atlas Awakened, which is just great value. Awakening bonus gives you static value on all of your maps. You know, those extra Shaper and Elder Guardians are really nice. Speaking of which, we are going to take Remnants of the Past as well. Even if you don't plan on farming the Shaper and Elder Guardians, selling them to other players, especially in bulk, you can get a lot of currency that way. If you do want to farm them, you should definitely take the nodes behind it. They're just great value and just kind of no-brainers if you're going to be doing that content. After Remnants of the Past, I'll be taking Enduring Influence. Like I mentioned before, I'm Chisel Alk Valing and full sextanting all of my maps, just because the juice might be a little bit lower in this league than it was in previous leagues. After that, I'll be taking Close Allies for additional Atlas missions. Again, if you're lighting maps on fire like Mesa, or you're just Alkin going maps and going really quickly, Close Allies is a good way to just build up master missions. And we are interested in mostly Alva, but then also June and Xana, you know, for Atlas completion bonus and stuff like that. It's not bad. Last but not least, we take Secrets of the Stone, and this is for the increased effect of Watchstone modifiers. Like I mentioned, some of the Watchstones that I'm picking for those regions, buffing up the effect of those can be really, really good, especially for essences, and, you know, the incursion stuff could be quite good as well. So that's my plan. It's going to be an Awakener 6/7 strategy. I will go into these other regions real quick if you did want to farm those, and my thoughts on some of the nodes here. Lexajoris, I still think Delirium is kind of the best value you can have here, and Parandis, while nerfed, is probably still fine, and then Metamorphs if you're into that. I'm going to definitely be buying catalysts from other players, so I do appreciate the Metamorph farmers out there. I'm just not one of those people. Similarly, I'm not really into Blight at all, but if I was going to farm this region, I would have it set up like this. And I've actually triple favorited Racecourse here, and that's just because it's a red tier map that's really fast to run, and this is where I'm going to burn my Einhar missions. Not only do I get to get red beasts out of it, I don't get to get some of the highest level red beasts, but I'll get some of the more exotic beasts, like maybe the imprint beast or what have you, from this spot, while also generating master missions for completing a red tier map in this zone. The high stuff is just for extra value. You could take the blighted nodes if you want, but there's just not ones that I'm interested in. And the breach nodes here I just don't think are as good as the ones in Lex Procs. Valdo's Rest is kind of the elephant in the room. This used to be an S tier region because of Diplomatic Escort, but it's being nerfed. Yeah, it's probably still the node I'm going to take because Harbingers are still just good value. Like, I don't know what Ancient Ore prices will be like exactly, but you know, it's just still good value to take that node. All the Metamorph stuff, like I mentioned, catalysts are going to be more expensive. They've added 2 new catalysts, the crit and the speed one. You know, those will be used definitely on belts at the very least. I wouldn't fault you for taking Tests of Loyalty either. We don't know what the Betrayal rewards will look like, but Tests of Loyalty is a good way to guarantee that you get a tier 4 room when you do encounter Katarina. So basically, if you've set up your mastermind and it's ready to go using intelligence gathering, well, if you want to set up your betrayal board to get the right level 4 master, then you can, or level 3, and then when you do Katarina, it'll be bumped up to tier 4 rewards. You can do that using Test of Loyalty, so that's how I would have it set up here. New Vistיר is actually a region I'm going to experiment with. I'm really interested in the new Rogue Exile one. So they're changing it to where it's 20 Rogue Exiles 10% of the time. And what you can do is you can just light maps on fire. So I actually triple favorited Siege map here, which is a T12. And basically what I can do is I can just open up the map. The minute I see a Rogue Exile, I know that there's going to be 19 more of them. And I'll just go through the map and basically mow down all of the Rogue Exiles. They're buffing this to have 50% chance for additional rewards. So it's actually pretty good value, I think. Who knows? It might be sleeper OP. And in my Atlas strategy update, maybe I've farmed New Vistיר a whole bunch. I still think Emblematic is still just a great node for the entire Timeless Emblem Splinter, but again, we're running our legions in Glen, so we're just kind of overlooking these, and we'll probably mess with Votive Horde here. And they did buff Abyssal Jewels, and not only are the values higher, but they're messing with the well-rolled mechanic, so we'll get more well-rolled abyssal jewels from the abyssal troves in New Vistיר. So while I'm in here killing rogue exiles, I'll definitely mess with votive horde and then maybe just a little bit of extra legion value. Again, I'm just completely ignoring delve in New Vistיר. So that's it for my strategy and, you know, my recommendations in terms of what I'm farming in the next league. If you guys are interested in that update, wait for it for, you know, a week or 2 weeks from now. I do want to mention that, you know, this is simply what I'm doing. There is some element of, you know, if everybody is zigging and you're the one zagging, you can make a ton of currency by finding a niche, and, you know, maybe you're the guy who's farming blights and then you are the only one producing all of the oils on the market, and you can kind of set the price for those. Same thing with delve. I know some people are turned off by the fact that fractured fossils are a little bit wasted, but I think, you know, it's still good value. If delirium orbs are expensive, you can fracture those delirious maps still and get good value that way, even if it's just one time, right? Or you can just bulk sell fossils, which will be a good way to craft items as well. Yeah, basically what I'm recommending is that you pick 1 or 2 mechanics instead of half-assing everything, maybe whole-ass 2 or 3 mechanics, and you can basically get more currency that way. I think it's better to be, instead of a jack of all trades, kind of like a master of 1 or 2. I'm sure I missed something in this video. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, or stop by on stream where I will be league starting on Friday. Good luck in Ultimatum League, and I will see you guys in the next video.